Hello and welcome to another episode of the After the Show where we are still in the midst of the siege that never ends. Let's talk about it on the After the Show.
Good evening.
Heyo.
Hello.
Oh dear.
Well, welcome back. First Malt, Magic and More of the year.
Of the year, yeah. And,
Indeed.
if I can talk about, Monday night session, well, that happened.
I can't help thinking, it was literally a 2-week gap. And I don't know whether it was rust, bad dice rolls, or just bad decisions. Everything I tried didn't seem to work as well as I thought it was going to do. Like, I thought, I'm gonna hold person on Duke Abio. He's going to be paralysed. I'm going to do suggestion, and then you started throwing legendary resistances and legendary reactions in, and I was like, I don't know what to fucking do. I have no idea. I'm just going to stab stuff. But then it doesn't deal. I didn't get any good dice rolls either on damage or no natural 20s or nothing.
Yeah, there wasn't any natural. I think there was one that Matt rolled, but apart from that,
Yeah, I got the natural 20 tonight for a bite, which really did fuck Lena up tonight, Monday. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Lena.
it's been
Lena.
first few days back at work. It's been heavy.
Oh yeah, and then when I tried to help Lena, I made it worse.
Yeah,
So,
that was funny though.
that was brilliant.
That was funny.
so I must remember that saying "close your eyes" doesn't actually work.
Yeah.
But we need to give him a bit more time.
I would also like to point out that it is for a player, it gets the creative juices going when you have to think about how would you act if you are now charmed. And it is very, very. I mean, I'm very glad that I am not a healer, that I can spend my entire time healing the enemy. But also very interesting is the fact that I was in a room where everyone's my friend and they're all fighting. What do you do?
Well, there was two that weren't your friend. You'd just been advised
I'd
against
been advised not
arming
to
them.
attack them, yeah.
But I suppose the thing is, though, for us as well, we've seen people be charmed before, so we would kind of know what to do. But I suppose from Anders' perspective, until you actually started attacking Kirik, you weren't really doing anything wrong, and you weren't becoming a liability. So then I was like, well, I'll just ignore you and deal with the people that are trying to kill Lena, because you weren't actually a problem. You were just not contributing, if you know what I mean. So it seemed a waste of my turn to damage you when you weren't inflicting damage on anyone. If you started attacking Lena or somehow, then when you did, I was like, shit, I need to do something about Dargon.
Also, bearing in mind that you could have hit me, damaged me, wasted your turn, and I could have still lost or failed my save. So I was exceptionally lucky to win it on that one, and yeah, I just thought that was really, really interesting.
Plus, on a meta sense, hitting someone that is under the charm condition from a vampire doesn't actually break the charm. It needs to be the vampire or its allies.
Or the vampire's companions, yeah.
Right.
So if I'd have used suggestion and said hit Dargon, then you can't do anything. That would have worked.
Could have worked, yeah.
Yeah. But you would have had to find that out in the fact that you shooting an arrow in my back wouldn't have done anything apart from hurt me.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Orfeo to hit me.
So all those times that he was missing me.
Yeah.
That was lucky, though. That was lucky. You nearly got bit about 8 times.
Yeah, no, but the first
Yeah,
one
I only managed to bite you, I think, twice. Maybe once. But you saw what it did to Lena, right?
Yeah,
Lena
she was absolutely screwed.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I was waiting for was for Orfeo to hit me, so then I used my rune to transfer the damage to Dargon, and maybe that would have broken it, but I didn't know.
That's a very interesting ruling, actually. I like that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I had
generally an interesting matchup, to be honest.
Yeah,
But in
also had
hindsight,
go on, Danny.
I was going to say we flew up, which seemed like a good idea, to then save Lena, which I think ultimately it did. If we'd have gone up through the stairs, I don't think we'd have got there in time, if we'd have got there at all. Flip side of that is we've now got to go down the stairs to rescue Bothrid and Feltag before we can escape, which is then putting Lena and everything in danger again. But then at the end of the episode, we heard the noise. So is it all redundant because the whole tower's about to explode?
I think it's yeah. I mean, depends on what we find downstairs, but I think it's very much going to be. We're all spent, as far as I'm aware. I know Kirik is. Kirik's got.
I could literally
potentially 2 spell slots left. Like
I can use the loot to do a cure wounds on Feltag to stop him exploding. Maybe.
Yeah, I've pretty much got attack 3 times.
It's going to be fun.
All my good spells are gone. I mean, slow would have been very helpful. Now we know how useful slow is when I haven't got it. The fight went on for ages.
How does slow...
That was really long. I mean, it was 7 rounds.
Just a lot of people.
Then again, you'd have legendary resistance it and you wouldn't have been slowed anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my other question is, what does slow do to legendary actions?
I don't think it
It doesn't say, it just literally says you can take an action.
On your turn, you can take an action. But legendary actions are not on your turn.
No.
There are spells that nullify legendary actions.
Yeah.
Because they make you not incapacitated, the other one.
So if you were paralysed, you wouldn't be able to take legendary actions.
Nope.
So hold person would have worked, but then you'd have used a legendary resistance not to be succumb to hold person.
You would have needed to whittle down his legendary resistances, then use slow, and then hold person or something, and then so that's the thing. You've got to waste some spells.
That was actually the benefit of me going last, really, because he had used his legendary resistance, so I could use hold person, but then he fucking made the save anyway, even with disadvantage.
But that's why stuff like Sunbeam is really good, because it's a spell that continues and just keeps on tickling their, just keeps on like chipping in at their legendary resistances, which I basically chipped in on the Duke's legendary resistances in 3 turns because it was like
I think
just kept going.
And we'd have been
definitely
shafted
entered
with
that room
Sunbeam.
and chose violence. Is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Kirik definitely entered that room and chose violence.
Yeah, you healed one person once.
We'd have been fucked though with that Sunbeam, because without that radiant damage, they'd have just been healing all the time.
We'd still be halfway through the fight.
Yeah.
Or you'd
Neither would
be
be
dead.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Sunbeam was definitely a good shout. I was playing with Sunbeam or Dawn, but there were other people in the room, so Dawn wasn't actually going to be that useful.
I was just going to say that it was kind of weird not really taking much damage in any. I got bit.
Yeah, I don't think any of us took damage. I mean, Ander wasn't hit at all.
Yeah, I took 5 points of damage.
From what? There was an attack against you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I used it uncanny dodge. But to be fair though, I just used a lot of my spells. Dargon stood still. So it was a weird fight for us. I was stabbing and using spells. Dargon wasn't hitting anything. And Kirik was just like...
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm trying to think of the film. In fact, it's probably Man of Steel. Literally just I-beams everywhere.
Yeah, it's Man of Steel. Yeah.
In the
Krypton had its chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the train station, just ripping it to shreds.
It's just beams cutting through everything. That was
So other than other than the Stillman, which we know is down there, and probably ghouls and ghasts, what else do you think we're going to find? Because it's obviously bad enough that Feltag is fucked. And Bothrid...
We don't know what that sound is.
Is potentially just a field mouse hiding on the stairs. I don't know what animal he was. Cragcat, probably.
We just don't know what's down there. We just know that Bothrid and Feltag are on their way up.
Yeah.
I think there's a very strong argument that we can make of like next week when we fight to be like, let's just do a snatch and grab and get out of here. Like,
yeah, like when we left the Isle of the Dead first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'm quite happy to save Bothrid and let Feltag literally kamikaze the rest of them. So we save Bothrid.
The chaotic of the party.
Yeah.
We save Bothrid because he makes a lovely breakfast, and then we leave Feltag behind, like we always do, and let him blow everyone to smithereens.
You'll live on in our memory, Feltag. Toodle pip.
Yeah, and he'll die a valiant death. He took loads of people out with him. He'll go to Valhalla or whatever, and then we'll tell Captain Swift we didn't leave him behind and we did our best, but he chose to stay and sacrificed himself for the greater good.
Pirates of the Caribbean. He stayed behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, he was handcuffed to the railings, but he stayed behind.
Yeah.
Just cast whole person on him. Bye.
Oh, actually, could I? No, it takes a minute to cast. That might not work. Literally, we get Feltag. I create the tiny Learman's tiny hut. We all get in it. Let Feltag explode, and then just get on the airship afterwards.
It takes a minute to cast.
I'm just curious, honestly, if he is going to explode, I would be shocked if the tower survives.
Actually, we might need the hut if he is about to explode and we can't stop it.
You need 10 minutes to make it, mate. Don't you?
A minute? If I ritual cast it...
Still going to make it a minute.
If I ritual cast it, it'll take longer, but if I use... Oh, fuck, I haven't got any spell slots. Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to ritual cast it, which would take a long time.
Ritual cast takes 10 minutes.
The stakes
in that case,
high,
then,
boys.
It is also a dome. It doesn't have a ground.
Yeah.
You'd have to
you
keep
need
it
otherwise it's going to be...
Yeah.
Unless I do the dome upside down, and we sit in it like a boat.
water raft it down rubble.
Amazing.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, just Ander doing like handstands whilst ritual casting, so it's upside down. Amazing.
Or could I? Is there a roof on the tower? Is it intact? Because I could just levitate.
There's a roof, and you can see there's a ladder. What you can see currently is the roof of that sort of throne room that you were in that's just been totally demolished and ruined. And you could see the ladder beyond, which you know went up to the roof where the airship is waiting, because you've already seen that from the outside.
I was going to say I could levitate Feltag high in the sky, but then it'll blow up the airship. Yeah.
Well,
Either way, I think...
again, you haven't got any spell slots, but yeah, you could cast fly, and you could take him with you, and you could all watch.
That's the beauty of it. They are charges from the loot, not spell slots.
There we go then.
So fly, levitate. I've got fly, levitate, fog, cloud, bark skin, protect from good and evil, which I was tempted to use on Lena, but she was already fucked, and something else I can't remember now.
What would have that done? The protect from evil and good, or whatever.
So, protect her from undead, so they would have disadvantage on attack rolls and stuff like that.
That probably would have been a brilliant one.
Yep.
But it was like when I was within touching distance of her, she was then already fucked. So I was like, because she was grappled, so even if I'd have got disadvantage, it'd have just been a normal roll.
but that's still good. But as our chat on Monday did quite rightly say, they can't grapple you if they're dead.
Yeah. I'm always worried about stuff that doesn't deal damage, unless it's something like a whole person, because it's like if it doesn't pay off.
Slow.
Yes, I've given Karina a disadvantage, but she's still nearly dead.
I tell you what, that was worried when I did Blade Warden. I was like, oh man, am I making it worse? Because if I take damage, I'm not going to take as much damage. And I was like, oh no, is this a bad thing to do?
The protection from good and evil needs to be, I'm first in the round. We're facing undead or celestials or fiends or whatever it is. I touch Dargon or Bothrid before they run in gung ho. Because then, while you're up close and personal, you've got that protection.
Yeah, if you can protect me from fiends and I can do damage to fiends, then we have a double advantage.
Yeah. So if we know what we're going in for, I can do it before we actually have to roll initiative.
Yeah.
Potentially.
How long
And
does it last?
another thing was
10 minutes or something.
Yeah, I think so. Another thing the dagger can do, which I haven't used yet, is I can choose a type of enemy, and for the whole day, it resets at dawn. It glows like the sword from Lord of the Rings whenever that chosen enemy is within 120 feet.
Nice.
That's pretty useful.
But the thing is, though, we've always we know where they are. So it's just like I haven't got a chance to use it yet because we knew we were going into a city where there was going to be loads of people.
Yeah.
But every time I thought I could we could have used it when we were going to Deluin and trekking through the dune or the plains. We could have used it then. So it's kind of like an advanced warning of rod of alertness type thing, isn't it?
So you could use it if we get onto the airship and you're going right. You've got a pick of dragons, vampires. I don't know whether dragons would go. If you were specific enough to go that.
I think you just
wyverns is.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, if you were going to go, okay, let's just guess. The thing is, if it doesn't help you, we're no worse off.
Yeah, when we're on the airship, that's a good time to use it actually, because I would want to say Zapanir, but technically she is undead, so that would cover vampires and her.
Do it.
Dragons are also a specific type of creature in D&D, so
they are indeed.
Like undead or humanoids, or dragons are a specific thing.
Are wyverns considered dragons, or are they more just?
They are draconic creatures.
Draconic.
Yeah.
So yeah,
so if you remember from the way back when, in fact, that same fight, the vertical fight. There was Vertigal and 3 wyverns, and Ander brought out the Dragon Slayer rapier when he had it.
Got rid of that now. Didn't need it anymore.
Oh, dear.
So yeah. That's all good fun.
It's going to be a tough one.
That was a very interesting fight. Very, very interesting indeed. Yeah.
Kept us on something
interesting.
It was a very well placed charm, I must say. Well done, Matt. And yeah, very, very interesting. It was really funny. It was like, oh, do you know what? On this fight, I'm going to write down how much damage I do each round. And of course, I did 1 round, and that was it.
Thing is, though, it just goes to show, like that time when you were paralysed in the corridor.
Oh yeah.
How much you may just think, oh, I'll just attack people 3 times, but how much that is actually needed.
Well, as I saw on my
same
I did 50 points of damage, and I'm like,
because on 7 rounds, mate, on 7 rounds, that's 21 attacks that we missed out on. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Huge amount of damage.
Each one averaging, what would it be? Averaging 13 points. 12 to 13 points of damage on each hit. So 13 times 6.
On your one and only attack, you did like 50 points of damage or something, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah. On my 1 round, 50 points of damage. So if you want to times that by 6.
That would have been helpful 21 times.
Insane.
Well, not 21 times, that would have been 6 times.
Well,
so that would have been 300 points of damage.
Yeah. Being like sidelined for a fight is just the worst.
it's not fun.
But it was really interesting because I was like, how do I play this? Do I just stand there? And I'd say there was another one that is like, midway into the fight, and it was, I felt like, if it's like, I see this person as an enemy, I've been told to protect him, but someone I definitely know is a friend is being hurt. I don't want to hurt anyone, but maybe I can shove the other guy away. And I was like, can I get away with that? But as I say, the description did clarify that no, I'm just going to look after him. But I did think that was going to be an interesting one, to actually shove someone away. It's like, see what happens. And then there was another time I was then going to try and grapple Karina away, and again see what that would do and stuff like that. So these were the interesting things that was going to go, well, do you know what, I would never do this because I would never waste my turn like this, but it's so interesting to see what would happen. How would it dynamically change the fight? And of course I did something that dynamically changed the fight and completely fucked you over somehow. So what I will admit, I was going to go, this is what I'm going to do, but I was going to go, I hope it puts you in a position where you can then line them up, but of course didn't twig that it would line up against Lena as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
just...
I was tempted to try and use Counter Charm, so I can literally play a song until the end of my next turn, but A, you weren't within 30 feet of me, and you'd already been charmed. What that gives you is advantage against being charmed, so it's like, it's too late for that as well.
Which we already had anyway.
I also believe that's an action that you have to take, as opposed to a reaction.
Yeah, so then I would have just not attacked anything either.
Yeah.
So
it's where you need to know. You need to know in advance.
That's unbelievable at the start. It's like, wow. Twofold. With two different
This is exactly why I cast the Hero's Feast, because I had a feeling that we might have been going against something like this. So
yeah,
needed.
Definitely needed.
But yeah, also getting a natural 1 and a 17 on the save of it. Oh, thank you.
and that's why like Kyrix spells are all pretty much all about dealing with undead currently, because from what was being described, it was like, cool, okay.
I suppose also Doug was quite happy that we're going back down the tower, because if we do go down the tower, he might pop down and see if he can find his weapons.
Yeah, that was risky, but I didn't know actually at the end of the episode, like, okay, if these boys choose to go, that's one weapon gone to potentially anyone.
Yeah.
So, let's see what happens.
Oh yeah, you've got to pick up your blink hand axe.
Blink hand axe and the 2 daggers if you can get them, because they're pretty good daggers. Not gonna lie.
I'd like to think it's fell down and it's just in some ghoul's head.
Just fuck.
Or that's what it landed in Feltag, and that's why he's about to explode.
I think it would have been funnier if it just literally landed in Johannes and like.
When that happened, when she was just outside of the tower, and then Dargon was throwing the daggers, I was like, I don't think I can get to her, but I think my idea at that point was, I'm going to cast Gravity Sinkhole and like pull Dargon and her together. That was the thing.
And in that
was the thing I was going to do.
I kid you not.
Yeah.
If the blink hand axe was going to hit, I was going to, what's it?
It was an amazing jump.
Step.
Sorry.
That wasn't an amazing jump. It was brilliant, by the way, wasn't it? She's done it about 5 times tonight. No, I was going to Misty Step
Teleport.
and, see what happened. I know that at that point I pretty much couldn't grapple, but, if I was able to, because I think it does mean that I Misty Step to my, to grab hold of my axe. So I would have ridden a bat with an axe in its back down to the ground. I was keen to know what was going to happen. So that's 76.
76 cast levitate on you.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to do.
Well, yeah.
I was going to dash and try and shoot the bat.
You also fall how far in your round? just automatically straight away?
So you are falling, and then it's 500 feet straight away, according to Xanathar's
So,
falling guide. So you'd literally just next round.
Yeah. So I don't think Danny would have been able to, that Ander would have been able to get to levitate me quickly enough. I don't know. That's DM's ruling, that is. But I was prepared to literally plummet to the ground and hope that I'd be able to, like, you know, full on Kung Fu Panda this, you know, just hold this back to the ground. No.
Yeah.
But it worked out very well.
Did indeed.
Next week, it's a battle of 5 very completely spent individuals and 1 probably very fresh murderer.
Well, I certainly thought that it was going to be difficult going into this battle because we were quite spent. Now we are very spent, and if there's a fight after this one, if we make it, we're going to be very, very, very spent.
I think me not having the spells doesn't worry me that much. Kirik not having spells is what worries me.
I have 1 spell slot.
You have some amazing
potentially 2.
Oh, you do your divine what's it and get 1 back.
Harness Divine Power can do it once, so I can get a 2nd or 3rd level spell slot back. Yeah. That's it. After that, is Kirik trying to hit things.
Yeah.
With what? Have you got any weapons left?
You gave them all away, didn't you?
No, I can use the staff as a weapon.
I was going to say you can use the staff of healing now. Just dunk.
Oh, that's true.
The staff of many faces, as it should be called.
Smack you upside the head.
Technically, can't you just whoever's at the top of the stairs, push them down the stairs, and then it'll just damage everybody behind them?
Feltag turns into the ball in Indiana Jones.
If we get literally, you know, in the film Hook, when that boy goes bang, turns into a ball and rolls down the stairs. We'll just do that with Dargon.
I used to have the toy, which actually folded in half, and you could roll it down things for that.
Brilliant. I tell you what, if I turn into a full-on bear, which I've never done, and just do that, I wouldn't take any bludgeoning damage.
Bear roll? No, you wouldn't. Immune to it.
There'll be somebody at the bottom with a pitchfork and then the torch, and you'd be fucked.
I was really tempted to also turn into a bear, even when I was charmed. I was like, right, what else could I do? And I suppose I didn't really see them come up with any decent weapons that... I mean, I'm sure any weapon they had was magical, but I thought they wouldn't be silvered. So I was tempted. I don't know whether that was saving against the bites or anything.
You'd have taken half the piercing, I imagine.
Well, I know, because again, I'm immune to anything that's not magical, so...
It's still magic. It's magical, naturally, with a vampire.
Well, then it would have done nothing anyway, so, yeah. I was wondering whether I was going to get, a disease and not get a disease.
You can't.
Yeah.
I don't think they were trying to turn anybody, though, were they?
No.
So my rules around vampirism and how that works are very specific. As are the rules around lycanthropy now.
Yeah, no, it's all very cool.
Otherwise, everybody and their mum would want to be a fucking vampire.
Well, when I actually nearly became one before we dimension doored out of there on the Isle of the Dead.
Yeah.
Would it have been a situation where I would have ended up like Dargon, where I could have still been on the Team Nylin, or would I have ended up being a bad guy? Do I have to do what my turner says, the person who turns me says, or could I?
Do you have to do what your sire says?
Or could I go a bit Kate Beckinsale in Underworld?
Would have been interesting to play out.
Yeah.
Well, Ander would have worn a catsuit as well, 100%.
Full leather. Go on.
Please don't spoil that film for me.
That would have been cool if I could have been
my celebrity crush is Kate Beckinsale and has been for a very long time.
I mean, it would have been interesting to see how me being Fey touched would have worked with the vampire curse.
Well, yes.
We'll
There are
never know.
certain
We shall
kinds
never
of
know.
vampires that are theoretically descended from Fae, so...
Or it is a really interesting question, right? I couldn't have done it anyway because I've already used one of the charges of Timiel's Wrath, but I could have used, if I hadn't done that, I could have used Greater Restoration to get rid of the Charmed effect. But would I have been in the right state of mind to know that I was charmed in the first place? Discuss.
That's like Inception.
I mean, technically you could have communicated with Timiel's Wrath and she could have turned around and say, "You're charmed, you idiot," but... She was literally just like, "What the fuck is going on? Why are you trying to take care of it?"
Which I was going to try and an RP out with you, Matt, if I knew it was available, but I knew it wasn't. So you know, the snap out of it, you know, and the amazing dice rolls making it look like you know, Timiel's Wrath was doing that was awesome.
I think that's a bit of a rabbit hole now, because if Timiel's Wrath is sentient.
Yeah.
Couldn't she use Lesser Restoration herself?
Lesser Restoration?
To try and help you?
No, I cast it.
It's cast through the sword.
Yeah.
It's not Timiel's Wrath casting it. Timiel's Wrath is basically just the weapon. She just has a mind.
And it's like me using the sword instead of using the material component.
She's like an arcane focus almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a wand and a sword in one. So, in that respect. But yeah, it was more the fact that she could have said, use Greater Restoration. You can do it, I can help you. But not. And as I say, I knew it was not possible, so it never came up. Unless the Restoration...
Yeah, it's one of those moments where you're sort of in a catch-22. She doesn't fully understand what's going on, she just knows you've been addled.
Yeah. That's why the dice rolls.
It would have been interesting if you had Shank and he's just telling you to stab bastard.
Stab them. I'm like, which one? Any of them. That would have been brilliant because I was like, right.
Literally behind Kirik, just...
Amazing.
Oh my god, that would have been absolutely brilliant.
We just need to get Kirik a sentient
weapon. Is running 2 encounters side by side there.
Nice.
That's been... I've literally been trying to clean it up tonight, just sort of saving it and making sure everything's tickety-boo, but... What a nightmare. Don't try doing that in the future. Fucking idiot.
I was going to say, roll the second encounter in the break.
Yeah.
Well, I did get rolled in the break. Some of it.
Oh, man. Right, well. Shall we find out where this goes next week, I think?
Downwards.
Yeah, that's about right.
Down.
Right. Thank you very much for tuning in for another episode of Malt, Magic and More, the first one of 2022. So thank you very much for tuning in and for following us on Twitch or liking and subscribing on YouTube. Thanks ever so much indeed. We really hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you are enjoying us go through a lot of sessions of fighting in our session. It's absolutely great fun, and I hope you are enjoying it just as much as we are as well. Tune in next Monday to find out what happens next. See you then. Bye.